Hello, I am Jason Gillard with AEP 803, Module 1. A little bit about myself. I am a husband and father. I graduated from Bethany College. Now I teach at Smoky Valley Middle School as a 7th grade ELA teacher. I also coach basketball and football. I have my ESOL endorsement, and I am my 3rd year of teaching. So what exactly is action research? Well, it's actively researching a question by putting yourself, the teacher, in the midst of the research. So instead of just going out and looking up on the internet, you might post a question and then go find that question or the answer to that question within your own classroom. And it's a great way to be engaged within the research and find an answer that's really more applicable to you, because what you find out there in research may not always work for you in your current position. The purpose of the action research is to answer the question, does it work within the classroom? And the 4 main types of action research are individual research, where you just as the individual will work on it. Collaborative, where you might work on it with a group of other teachers or team members. School-wide action, a whole school conducts the research. And reflecting on action research, once you have conducted the research, then you can look back at it. What is the goal of action research? This is evaluating outcomes, enhancing student achievement, and improving educational practices. As good educators, we always want to be improving our instructional ability. And the main steps of action research is to plan to change, act, observe, and reflect. So once you've got that plan in place, you want to go ahead and start implementing it. And during the observation portion of it, you're always welcome to make some slight changes if you feel like you need to make those, and then you can continue and make your way to the reflection. So what is the difference between action research and traditional research? Action research is to make decisions and improve in education, while traditional is for gaining knowledge. So for traditional, you may not actually be looking to implement anything, which you could, but action is the reason why action research has that word action is because you're actually performing it and doing this to improve your teaching. And the common problems associated with action research, it does create a heavy workload. There's a lack of time. For the teachers specifically, there could be lack of skills, not only for the research, but the ability to implement the action plan and research. And then also lack of knowledge, where it might even be as simple as, where do I start? For the evaluation, I would say my teaching practice is very strong, just because I had a very, very good mentor my first 2 years of teaching. And she really helped put a lot of things in place to help me be a successful teacher. So I'd say they're very strong at this place, but they're still developing. There's no doubt that as a teacher, I'm open to more practices and techniques. So I wouldn't say that I've closed the door on improving my teaching practices. And research could help improve my teaching. Continuously growing professionally is the key to sustained success. If I thought I knew everything, then very quickly I would stop being a successful teacher and students wouldn't learn nearly as much. So it's important that I have the attitude that it is a continuous process to improve. And while there is a lot of things out there, we want to find what works. And so action research could be a way that I personally am able to find out what works for me and what works for my class, my students, and specific group of students. And the research, what it says about success of action research and its impact on, well, it improves student and teacher performances. When you as the teacher find out what works for you, you can continuously grow with that. So, and also because you're kind of gearing this towards the specific students you have, this is going to be something that is specific to the students, which is why it helps improve student performance. So I can certainly say, I can certainly see where actionable research would be beneficial in the classroom for both the teacher and the students. I know it would take a tremendous amount of focus for me to make sure I do it properly and stick with it. A lot of times It's very easy for me to give up on trying a new practice simply just because it either takes too much time or I don't make the conscious effort to stick with it. And then I get caught up in all the other things that I absolutely have to do. So when it's not something that's required, then it becomes kind of a back burner type issue. And I can see where personally I wouldn't do a good job of holding myself accountable to keep action research in the forefront of my plans. In my previous school, would conduct a lot of research and do something very similar to action research. It was a bit overwhelming with all of the new fancy teaching techniques to use, and we were expected to implement them like the day that they introduced them to us. It seemed like we spent an enormous amount of time reviewing the overview of so much, but never given proper time to use it properly. So it just seemed like we were told about it and how great it was, but we were never given the right training to actually dive into it, use it properly, and then have that opportunity to observe whether it worked or not, have that evaluation process. It was kind of like, implement it, let's move on to implement it again. So where that issues of having too much of a workload and not enough time, I can definitely see that being a problem. So I think the one thing about action research is you as a teacher can take on what is comfortable for you, and whether you stick to it, that current plan, that is up to you. Whereas if it's coming from the school, then it could kind of overwhelm teachers for sure. For the 5 components here, this supports the educational success and well-being of each student and adult regarding the following components, because in each component it focuses on evaluating, developing, improving, and growing. By incorporating action research, educators use all components frequently, which will help improve their instruction and also improve student learning. When I looked at those components, it almost always stated something about either evaluating or improving. And so when we use action research, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is evaluate, improve, observe, assess, and we're doing that to help improve not only ourselves, but our students. This submission demonstrated correlation to the standards selected for this assignment because action research promotes and guides the success of teachers and students by applying the new knowledge and skills learned through the research. This assignment was relevant to my current learning because as a future principal, it will be important that I provide my staff with the ability to grow professionally. This may include collaborating together to conduct action research, to then piece together a plan that will help the staff grow and improve together. This assignment improved my understanding of action research by providing quality resources to explain the concepts and ideas, because I didn't know what action research was beforehand. This assignment will influence the decisions I make as a future school leader because I will make sure to find time for my staff to install practices they find within their action research. Of course, also introducing the concepts of action research will also go a long way in helping guide them towards self-improvement. There are my references. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed.